Hello there, I'm Kiyos, the Ronin Beatmaker, and welcome to a Ronin review. Sugar, episode 2 and 3 of the Apple Plus TV series. And with me, I have a special guest, Lady Lioness.
Hi, everyone.
Now, without further ado, let's get into it. I was brought onto this show by Lady Lioness. She recommended it to me. We sat down and watched it. Turned out it's a really good show. If you've caught my review of episode 1, you're aware that I really like the fact that this show feels like you're experiencing a old time New York detective show, whether that's from old time radio shows where they were really prevalent, or from the classics of the 50s and 40s detective films. And if you know what I talked about in episode 1, how this show does a really good job, and Lady Lioness could attest to this, that it does a really good job of merging classical films into this modern era.
I definitely can agree. Yes.
So, uh, for anyone who's watched episode 1, then you kind of get an idea that, we're kind of all along for this ride of Sugar trying to uncover this missing persons case of Olivia for this very prolific Hollywood elite family. And we decided to watch episode 2 and 3 because episode 2 was good and we kind of just wanted to keep the momentum going. So, what are your thoughts on episode 2 in regards to what we've slowly learned?
I think, first of all, my taste is amazing. Thank you. Um, I think that episode 2 is a great build upon episode 1. I think we're getting a little bit more of an in depth view to the family and the relationships within the families. Um, I think that Sugar is gonna have his hands full with this case that he has taken on. I also think that there is a reason why his handler did not want for him to take this case. I've been speculating about that. Um, yeah, I think I think it was overall a good episode. And what did you think?
Well,
Specifically about Sugar and where he's at.
uh, well, he is a one of the reasons why I like him is that he's a very everyone in the show behaves very like humans. Nothing feels very like by the book. And
Mm-hmm.
him in particular, I just like that he is a very uh, self-aware individual of who he is. And so despite the fact that he knows that he's getting a little in too deep into this case, I like the fact that he can't help but acknowledge that he is human. So of course he's going to have some feelings for this case. And that's why when you saw him helping the homeless guy, it's like he's just trying to be a good person to probably make up for failing at, and we learn.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get into spoilers now, people, because just to make it easier, that his sister went missing and died,
Yep.
and so this case reminds him of his sister. And in episode 2, you have the fact this guy can't get drunk. He was hanging out with the stepmom, the former stepmom of Olivia, because he coincidentally found her at the bar.
Or
And
was he working?
he was working, but she just
Exactly.
happened to be at the bar coincidentally.
Right.
So I think what we're getting so far from in episode 2 about him is just like this case is just not. I wouldn't say it's personal, but it's more of a how much can you just observe and report to the point where you can't, in relation to like reality, where you have to be a mandatory reporter.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, how long is he gonna just observe this case without actually getting involved? But he has to get involved.
I think he is intrigued because, like you said, it is a missing case, and it's like a young woman, and maybe it does remind him of his sister. I think there's a correlation there. Um, hmm. I am more curious about his illness and what it's in relation to. If it's like stress related, if it's related to him not being able to get drunk or his high tolerance. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, episode 2 ends with him finding those photos of Olivia's mom, the Polaroids, and he starts bleeding and his hands shaking. But we know that's from the cut from episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's dealing with a neurological issue, either due to the stress of his job or maybe something from his past. It could be related to his. It could be related to his sister. That's another speculation that maybe he's dealing with some kind of neurological effect from the loss of his sister. Uh, so I think that like he's just like in episode 3 you see it at the dinner party. So in episode 3, well, the way episode 2 ends is he has that invitation, and that invitation, it turns out, is for the firm that he works for. And we learned that the firm that he works for is essentially a independent private investigation firm. And you got Sugar, who solves missing cases. You got another guy who's an anthropologist who's pretty much an Indiana Jones. If you think about it, he's a private Indiana
I
Jones.
didn't think of that. Yeah.
So you have this firm, which I think this is more interesting than the case, and we'll get back to the case. But the firm is interesting because in the show, in episode 2 and 3, um, Ruby, who is his handler,
Yeah.
who handles 19 other people, keeps on contacting someone above, someone that she obviously works for. And there seems to be a little conflict of interest with Sugar's case and uh, his mental wellness, and essentially Ruby not wanting him to get involved in this case. And if in episode 2, it ended with, well, episode 1 ended with him in the shower. Episode 2 ends with the Vasquez sister, who's clearly being targeted by some kind of cartel group. We don't really know, but obviously we're finding out that they are working with the firm that Sugar is working for. We just don't know to what extent.
Right.
I think that this is just a no different than what we have nowadays, where you have a lot of government agencies that are off the books. And whether or not this is a government agency that's off the books or it's an actual group of ex-spies that decided to get together and do things for good.
Well, we learned that in the show Sugar is in episode 3, Kenny goes to his side piece. I'm gonna call him a side piece. And because he hangs out.
This is the security guard who's protecting Davy.
Yes.
For everyone to remember, the little scrawny little guy who has all the cases pending against him of sexual assault.
And he's a child actor, and he is the step brother of the missing
Olivia.
Yes. So Kenny goes to his side piece, and he learns, because his side piece is NSA employee, can get access to Sugar's records, and learns that Sugar went to an elite school that focuses on languages and basically is
we don't really know, but
we don't really know, but
the suspicion is that he may be was or is a spy,
right? And they train spies at that school from a young age. So,
well, we don't know they train spies. We just know that they train them in languages. But who knows? They could be training them in spies. It's a possibility. But Ruby knows that someone is looking into their files regarding Sugar. Right. And she knows who it is.
And she has the technology to access while they're accessing records live. She has that technology, which is very advanced. So she clearly is working for
people who are well funded or well connected.
Yes. So, or government just in general.
It could be like I said, an off the books government agency that works off the books, does good or bad. We don't really know, but if they're doing bad, it doesn't seem like it. Well, I don't think they're a government agency because the first episode he's working with the Yakuza. So, but at the same time, the government's fund and work with various crime organizations. So who's not to say? So that's another entire possibility. But
well, they also learned through Kenny's research that they're committed, this firm or whomever he's working for is committed to doing good or bad. They're committed to, there was a reference to that.
They're trying to preserve and save humanity. Mm-hmm. There are a bunch of ex-spies, from what we're speculating, that put aside their differences and wanted to actually change the world for a better. So whatever that may be, that might mean working with Yakuza to push them into a more wholesome aspect. We don't really know if he's hanging out at the dinner party with all of the employees, and one of them is an anthropologist, and he's like, give me research, give me a place, give me a lab coat, and I'll solve anything. So obviously, if they're solving anthropology investigations, that could mean, and this is my own personal interest, that there are also people out there who are hiring them to confirm history or expose true history, whatever that might be. Because when at the dinner party, not all of them look like Sugar. Not all of them look like they can fight. Not all of them look like they are out in the boonies, out in the weeds. Some of them are are clearly much older, much more experienced, and focuses on certain things. So they're not all like super spies and martial artists and things like that. These are very eclectic, diverse group of individuals.
Yes.
But there is one individual, to me personally, who stood out, that they showed a lot. There's this tall, lengthy black dude with big ears. They showed him a lot, and I think that personally he might be trailing Sugar, because we know that there's another person besides Davy and his father that are trailing Sugar, someone else's, and it could be in relation to the firm that he works for, because we learned through Ruby that Sterling, the head criminal guy, is working in relation to Sugar's firm. Mm-hmm. To what capacity? We don't know, but
Ruby knows him. So
they delete all of his. At the end of the episode 3, they delete all of his records of who he is in the government database.
So could he be a colleague or, I don't know, schoolmate? Because it seems like maybe all these spies went to school together. Maybe it's like a class. Maybe they all came in together. That's where my imagination goes.
He met Sugar. Sugar would have recognized him if they worked together. And he asked him, "Who are you? Like, where? How do you like? You obviously aren't a corrections officer." When he went to one of the Vasquez's sister, the other sister, the sister that's living, because Melanie knows the Vasquez girl because Olivia killed Sterling's right hand man after Sterling murdered and raped one of the Vasquez sisters. And now Sugar is well aware that um, Olivia killed Sterling's right hand man. Melanie, her former stepmom, helped her put the body in her car, and then Olivia disappeared. But now we know at the end of episode 2 that Sterling's right hand man's body is not in the trunk anymore. So somebody else got rid of him. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to wonder that if it must be someone within the firm who's tailing him and got rid of the body before he could get rid of the body. Or everyone's playing everybody.
I think you're accurate.
Everybody's playing everybody.
I mean, we're only up to episode 3, right? So, like, we have a little ways to go to really see what's happening. I think it's interesting. Some things that stood out to me was, am I too close to the mic?
No, you're fine. I'm moving it back.
Okay. Sugar doesn't like to be around these people. Like, he didn't even really want to go to this party.
Because he's not a people person.
He's not a people person? I think it's beyond that. I think it's...
Well, because he knows that the firm that he's working for, even though they may seem like they're good people, he knows that they're keeping secrets from him. And he wants to understand these secrets. And I think now he's trying to understand them because why was Ruby getting on his case about not wanting him to solve this mystery, this missing persons case? And I think in the back of his mind, he's always been a little curious about this firm, but it wasn't until this case that the itch in his stomach is starting to finally be scratched, because why are they so hell-bent on making sure that he doesn't figure out certain things within this case? And then Ruby's saying we have to tell Miller, we have to tell everybody the truth. I don't know what that means, telling everybody the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that, you have the firm, whatever ulterior motive that they've been working on. You have Sugar, who I get the impression is their best investigator.
Yeah, I would say he's elite.
And probably their biggest headache, because he does more than observe and report. But they can't get rid of him because he's too damn good at his job.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of your best. Like, no matter how badly you want to. Nowadays people do, and then you see what happens when you get rid of your best. The whole thing collapses. So they can't get rid of him. But I personally think that Ruby's going to slip up. They're going to slip up. They're rushing to cover their tracks. And anytime you rush in anything, you make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to make a mistake.
I think they've already made a mistake. I think he's already onto them. In episode 3, we see that. We see that he is aware. He's even told Ruby, like, hey, I've identified this car, make and model.
And she never told him about who was in that car or anything. He asked her at the end when he left the party, please give me all this information as Sterling.
Yeah.
But then she's deleting all the information on Sterling. And she should know that you can't lie to him.
Right.
He's going to know that you obviously are he already knows you're lying and hiding something from him. So then when he asks for the information, what are you going to tell him? It accidentally got deleted, or it was never there?
Right.
And then what about his mom? If that's even his mom.
Is that his mom?
Is that even really his mom?
Well, he told Ruby that someone's going to call. So maybe, they think that if she's the number is she.
Or what if the person that he called on the phone was the woman in Arizona and telling her they think that you're my mom, they're going to be coming to you.
I thought he was talking to Ruby.
We thought so, but they never went to see Ruby.
The mysteries.
I think he called the person down there, hey, they're going to think you're my mom. They're going to be coming to you. And remember, if you look at the show, it's only been a couple days or even less than a week in the time frame of things that are happening.
Yeah.
Because he gets there, the next day he's meeting with Olivia's dad. That same night, the party. The following day, he falls asleep.
Yes.
Sitting up.
I think he got sick.
So it's only been a week so far in his investigation.
Right.
So I think that he called the woman down in Arizona and told them, hey, they're going to come to you thinking you're my mom. Be prepared. And then the next day, hey, I'm going to Arizona.
Yeah.
So I think that day of him telling Olivia's father, Davey, the stepbrother or half-brother, that he's going to meet Sugar's mom, or is the same day he calls that person. That's the same episode. That's episode 3.
Yeah, we're up to
So I think that's
3.
what's going to happen. I think they're going to get fed a lie down in Arizona.
I think it's Ruby. I think they're going to come to Ruby.
Maybe. But why? But we saw the Welcome to Arizona. So Davey and Kenny or whatever, they're in Arizona.
Okay. Let's see.
Who knows how it's going to play out? We know that Ruby, at the end of the episode, she's typing in a typewriter.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me.
Thing is, the typewriter is not... This is an old school typewriter. He looked at the box as if the box talks. Because he looked at the box. So, and it's an old school typewriter, so it's not AI. You know what I mean? It's not connected to the internet.
It might be. It might be connected to the internet. It could be a typewriter in a box, and a new age typewriter in a box.
But if anything, then it's old school communication technology then. But there's no you guys will catch. You know what I'm talking about.
What is that noise?
Sonar, not sonar. SOS. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes. Sonar. Yes.
Not sonar. It's not sonar. It's not sonar.
It's not sonar?
It's not sonar.
What is it?
I can't. It's a form of communication that they developed in the old
I know
days.
it's like SOS, right?
Yeah, but anyways, what we're trying to say is we don't know what this typewriter is. We don't know who. She types up these reports of their psychology because they all keep these little black books of their thoughts.
Yeah, they're required to keep journals, which I like.
Required to keep journals of their thoughts, and then everything is documented. And once notice, when Ruby was opening near the end, there was a symbol in one of the books. I don't know what that symbol was, but I think that we're dealing with a multi-layered situation, and whoever got rid of the body of Sterling's right-hand man was either Olivia herself or whoever is tailing Sugar. My speculation.
Yeah. I'm curious to go on this ride. I'm excited to see. I think Sterling is a ex-firm member for sure. My final thoughts. I think he's an ex-firm member. I think that's why she didn't want him to take the case. She knew. Whoever this black guy is that I missed in the show, the tall guy.
Well, that's my theory.
I missed him. I didn't see it.
My personal theory. I could be completely wrong. My personal theory.
He may have more to do with it.
I only say that because they focused on him a lot. The camera, when Ruby's doing her speech, he's right there behind her. So there's a reason why they put an emphasis on him right behind her.
Yeah.
There's a reason why when they're doing their little reviews of their jobs and their notebooks, he was focused on. Nobody else was focused on in terms of the face.
Yeah.
But this black guy was. So I don't know what the connection is, but we think that, well, I know she thinks, what do you think? What was it again?
About what? What specifically?
About Ruby. You were thinking You
I
said
think Ruby
Sterling. You
is.
said something about Sterling. You think
I
part of
think
it,
Ruby is on knows about Sterling. I think Sterling is an ex firm member. Maybe Sugar doesn't know him. Maybe he joined before um, Sugar arrived. I don't know, but I think for Ruby to know him, he
or
has to be a big deal.
what if it's that this firm has different firms, and you have
Hmm.
you have the head, and they have different firms, and they're all doing different things. And what if one is doing good, but then the other one is doing bad to enable the good? I don't know. I just think you're starting to get into the idea of shaping and manipulating events by manipulating small little things. So if you have a private anthropologist who gets private access to look at hidden sites and then gives that information to whoever is looking for, you can then shape policy, you can shape education systems, and whatever. With this case, you could shape Hollywood.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but that's just a speculation of mine when it comes to this, because it just seems like all the people in there, they were all well dressed, well mannered. You had people who were clearly in their 60s and 70s, so they've been doing this for a minute. There was a young guy in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
None of them seem like, I don't know, but it's interesting. They all come from all around the world, so it's an international organization. But who's funding it? That's the real question. That's what I want to know. Who's funding it? Because
Yeah.
how did she have enough money to take a famous revolver from a Glenn Ford film and then um, make it fireable for actual firearms? Like, there's so many weird little things. The room where they did the review,
In the
the
house.
house is beautiful, and then you go upstairs and you're like, Jesus Christ, what am I
It
in?
looks like an office
It
building.
looks like an office building that you would see in a under the Pentagon.
Yeah, like a black site, like a
Like a
black site
yeah,
location.
it's like a black site location. And I'm wondering now if this is a black site firm, because the United States has black operatives, black units that go out, black ops, that do off the book things.
Hmm.
None of those things are good things, but this is a little completely opposite from that, because he's solving missing persons cases. So
That's his good. That's his way of contributing to the good.
yeah, and then we have to find out what is this firm's contribution to the bad. Are they aiding in trafficking?
Yeah.
Are they aiding in I don't know, trafficking right now so far? Who knows? Maybe assassinations.
Huh.
It could be anything.
Where did you get the idea of trafficking? I started that one.
Well,
I
yeah,
thought the girl was being trafficked.
we thought, yeah, she thought Olivia was being trafficked, but then it turned out she's not. She killed Sterling's right hand man. We are speculating
Right.
that Sterling is involved in organized crime of the not. So we don't really know until the plot tells us, because we're all
Yeah.
kind of we're all, for anyone who's watching, and make sure you leave it down in the comments your thoughts on all of this kind of stuff, but we're all along for the ride. There's not information that we know that Sugar doesn't know. We kind of all know everything.
Yeah.
That's why I like the show. It's not kind of like watching like Game of Thrones or any of those kind of shows where you will get a lot of crazy information, but none of the characters know. So you kind of know what's already going to happen, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
But in this show, you get surprised.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's fun about shows like this. Got to look into the creator of the show, but it's clearly well written, well thought out.
Yeah.
And the cinematography of the show is shot really good.
Mm-hmm. The editing is phenomenal. Yeah. The acting is great. Colin is top tier.
Yeah. All the even the side actors, just the side people, like when he's meeting up with all of her former friends, they all do a really good job of acting like normal college kids.
Yeah.
They look the part, they look the age, they feel the aesthetic. It doesn't feel like they're pretending to be college kids or anything like that. Everyone in this show feels like they're supposed to be in the show.
Yeah.
No one doesn't feel like what, that actor doesn't work for that role. We've all been there where we've seen shows and films where we're like, yeah, why is this actor that role, or why are we getting focused on this stuff? You don't get that in this show. Everyone feels like they're supposed to be there. Nothing feels forced. So you don't have to feel like you're like, "Ugh, why are they shoving this down my throat?" Even certain characters, like there are certain characters that are of different um, sexual orientations in the show, but it's natural. Nothing feels like you're being forced things to like accept. Does that make sense?
Explain what you mean more about
Like
that.
that is like where you have Kenny and he's sleeping with the NSA guy. We didn't know that Kenny was gay,
No.
but it didn't feel like it was forced. It just felt like it was part of the plot, part of the
Got you.
story.
Okay. Like
That's
a natural feed into the story.
yes. Everything
Understood.
is naturally fed into the
Yes.
story. There's
Okay.
nothing that feels like, why are we finding out like randomly? Oh, he's gay, or you know what I mean? Where it just doesn't
Yes.
feel like it's adding to the
Yes.
story.
I hear
It's
you.
taken away from it.
I understand what you're saying.
So I think the writers, the creator, they care about that, and I think Lady Lioness can attest because she's watched more of the Apple Plus shows than I have, but they really care, and I think
They
part of
do.
that is because they have the money to do it, and they have the interest to kind of do that. You can go to Amazon Prime, you might find a handful of shows that are good. You can go to Netflix, less than a handful of shows that you might find that are good. Same with HBO Max, same with Peacock. But if you look at Apple Plus, they don't have a crazy library of shows.
No.
But everything they put out, most of it is actually ends up being pretty good.
It is pretty good. I
didn't
can't
watch
tell a
the show
lie.
Good Morning, but it was a very successful show with Jennifer Aniston,
Yes.
and it got Emmy
Mm-hmm.
nominated. So there's a lot of good content on Apple Plus, and I think if other streaming services took a little example of what Apple Plus is doing, less is more.
Yeah.
Then I think people will be a little bit more interested in wanting to watch shows and TV shows. But I would recommend everyone out there, please check this show out. Leave some comments on what your thoughts are on the show. If you've made it this far,
Definitely.
please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.
Bye, everyone.